So good afternoon all of you. Today we are supposed to do the case Google Play Store in India playing with networks. Have you all read up the case? So it's about Vijay Sharma and the Indian startups who have threatened an alternative Play Store and whether that Play Store will work or not. You have Google, which has a certain monopoly position, whether that dominant position A is being abused and B, is it possible for an alternate body to come up and to introduce a Play Store which would compete with the existing monopolistic Play Store. All right. So this is a very interesting case study. It's a case study which I have written myself, and it's also a case which is in one of the top selling lists of Ivy. When we are teaching a case, I think the fascination which the students have about what happened, right? We normally tell them it doesn't matter what happened. It is about, exploring the multiple dimensions of the case and what could have been. This whole ability of students to be able to put themselves into the shoes of either protagonist or the victim in this particular case, the so-called victim, is very, very critical. We're going to do things a little differently. We are going to have two of you coming in and playing the role of Vijay Sharma, Vijay Paytm Sharma, and we are going to have two people probably trying to play the role of Sundar Pichai. So who would want to play these roles? Okay, Santosh, you would want to play the role of Vijay Sharma.
So I think it's a really fun way of learning, and I'd only heard about the famous case discussions in MBA schools, but now I feel it's really more fun rather than daunting.
Who's going to fire the first salvo?
Ma'am hardly has ever used a PPT even in her entire term. So she prefers to teach conceptually using anecdotes. That's her way of teaching. And in the middle, we'll have these role plays, we'll have discussions, we'll have two-sided debates. And these are the things that enhance the learning experience for us.
I was on the other side of the debate over here, representing Vijay Sharma. Now, if the Sundar Pichai is not really jet-lagged, can we have a start of this debate? But so I believe that if others are doing, why not do it yourself when you have the majority of the market? And it's not like you're a philanthropic organization, right? You are a for-profit business organization who should ideally make profit. I mean, nothing bad to feel about that.
Ma'am, if Mr. Sharma is ready to talk about actual profits, then perhaps we can start.
Okay, let's start.
In case studies, we can actually project our opinions. And when opinions come to light, that's when the true qualities of a manager, we can build upon that.
So it's rather important to understand that Google Play Store, to sustain itself, we definitely need some revenue model, which we are trying to obtain from here. And it's actually a very fair share, and it's a competitive practice that everyone is following in the market, and it's nothing different that we are trying to pull off. So 30% tax is rather rational.
So they need money to run their business is what they claim. All right, so what do the Indian startups have to say?
To us, things seem like they are either fair or they are unfair. And that was only a one-way perspective which we had, but after discussing these case studies and actually understanding what goes on behind the scenes and why these decisions have to be made, which seem unfair to us but are necessary for a business to survive, and it's also necessary for them to take profits out of a service that they're providing or a product that they're selling. So it makes sense and it gives you a better perspective of what goes on behind the scenes, and it becomes a more broad understanding in that sense.
They should understand that there are billions of apps being contributed by small-time people from India, small-time entrepreneurs, who, if you take out that 30%, they don't really have anything in hand. How can they afford to do that?
Small entrepreneurs cannot afford the 30% tax, is what our Indian startups say. So the starting point is monopoly. Why should a monopoly be curbed? It is not that the government wants to control or curb a monopoly. Even the producers lose as a result of a monopoly.
2 points in that regard, Mr. Sharma. One is that the small entrepreneurs require security from the data breach. With this 30% tax, Google can offer them a higher level of security. And second point, what the small startups require more, accessibility. The accessibility that Google offers through its platform is renowned. And also, it is not something that we are coming out of the blue. All the other platforms have similar revenue model. It is just that Google is playing that you will be surpassing this tax in their model as well. It is something out of the blue that you are hosting your app in any other platform and you're not paying this. If you're hosting your app in iOS, you are actually paying this already.
So good point out there. So we are talking about a 30% commission, which is standard industry practice. And why do you consider Google to be any different from the industry? Because they're not doing anything different from the industry. Plus, they're also charging you a commission, which is the price for security, which is the price for data privacy.
We come with very fixed mindsets wherein we have a very straightforward point of view. However, when you come in a class setting wherein you hear 10s and 20 people actually talking about some other point of view which is very contrasting to your point, that makes you rethink your mindset, your processes. And you realize that no, you're not wrong. It's just that you think in a way which is different. If you say that what your way of thinking is the only way out, then you will actually never move from becoming a manager to a leader.
So when they talk about industry, I think they fail to forget that 95% of the industry is Google.
I came convinced with the Indian apps side, but the discussion helped me see that there was a other side as well, and that was a logical side. So it was a right versus right thing. It was a logical side as well, and we can look at perspectives. We should look at perspectives through an open lens, and if it makes sense to us, then we should also consider changing our opinion.
They could have implemented this in an increasing manner where they are implementing the tax like 5%, then 10%, then 15% or something like that, and suddenly from nothing to 30% it is gonna hit us entrepreneurs in a different it's gonna hit us like in a different way, right?
All right, okay. So move sequentially, don't impose a 30% immediately. Why not we do this in a staggered fashion and not as a straight off 30% commission? What a case does is that some of the most complex theoretical concepts are being brought to life through some of these cases which they would anyways be following. So they would have read this in a newspaper without ever understanding what is the underlying framework to it. They need to be able to analyze things very, very professionally rather than having a gut instinct kind of a reaction, which is I am in favor of Sundar Pichai or I am in favor of Vijay Sharma. And that is where we would like to challenge them and put out things which are counterintuitive. Great debate. Round of applause for all. For the four people here, what is it that you as a group have been able to understand from this? Is it an open and shut case that there is dominance? There is dominance. There is dominance. But is it an open and shut case about abuse of dominance? No. Google has not really done something out of the blue. It is not a tax or a commission which is being charged from out of nowhere, because this policy already existed and it's only now that they have started levying it. So that's the case for you.